Malta, located in the Mediterranean just 50 miles off of the coast of Italy, it's home to some of the oldest freestanding structures on Earth. Some of them predate the Egyptian pyramids and even Stonehenge. One of those structures is the Hal Saflieni Hypogeum, which is considered the oldest prehistoric underground temple in the world. These ancient megalithic sites were built over 5,000 years ago. The Hypogeum is a subterranean megalithic structure shrouded in mystery. The only known subterranean neolithic structure in the world, it was discovered by accident in 1902 when workers cutting cisterns for a new housing development broke through its roof. The workers tried to hide the temple at first, fearing it would disrupt their work, but eventually its existence was revealed. The Hypogeum, made out of massive stone slabs, is constructed entirely underground and consists of 3 superimposed levels hewn into limestone. Some rooms are natural caves, which were later artificially extended. The halls and chambers are interconnected through an elaborate labyrinth system, a complex series of steps, lintels, and doorways. In the past, you could walk underground from one end of Malta to the other. The small island is only 17 miles long by 9 miles wide. This is no longer possible as the government has closed all entrances. It is believed that the Hypogeum was a sanctuary, an ossuary, a place of worship, and a repository for the dead. When the Hypogeum was first discovered, the remains of over 7,000 individuals were found. Many of the bones were lost early on in excavation, but most of the skulls were deposited at the National Museum. A small percentage of the skulls were found to have an abnormal cranial elongation, similar to priestly skulls from ancient Egypt, but with no apparent signs of binding, a practice common in some ancient cultures. The abnormalities included the lack of a fossa, a lack of cranial knitting lines, and abnormally developed temporal partitions. This further fueled speculation about the people who constructed and occupied the Hypogeum. Numerous artifacts were recovered from the site. Among them were intricately decorated pottery vessels, stone and clay beads, shell buttons, amulets, axe heads, and carved figures depicting humans and animals. The most notable discovery was the Sleeping Lady, a clay figure thought to represent a mother goddess. The Hypogeum has an astonishing number of features that show a highly advanced knowledge of engineering. The subterranean structure carefully directs light from the surface into the lower chambers, where portions of the ceilings are decorated with intricate patterns painted in red ochre. Motifs of spots, spirals, and honeycombs. One of the main chambers, called the Holy of Holies, appears to be oriented so that light from the winter solstice illuminated its facade from the original opening above. The Hypogeum's most fascinating feature, however, a feature that has drawn researchers from around the world, is a highly advanced acoustical system that utilizes superacoustics to alter consciousness and bring about both physiological and psychological changes on those subjected to it. The chamber, known as the oracle chamber, contains a speaking chamber, which is a hole in the wall carved with a rounded interior surface. Anything spoken into that hole produces an echo and is heard throughout the whole of the Hypogeum. Researchers also detected the presence of a strong double resonance frequency at 70 Hz and 114 Hz in the chamber. Laboratory testing has shown that exposure to these particular resonant frequencies can have an actual physical effect on human brain activity. Researchers have said that the oracle chamber ceiling and the elongated inner chamber itself appear to be intentionally carved into the form of a waveguide. Dr. Paolo De Bertolis commented on tests conducted at the Clinical Neurophysiology Unit at the University of Trieste. He said those volunteers with a frontal lobe prevalence during the testing received ideas and thoughts similar to what happens during meditation, while those with occipital lobe prevalence visualized images. He goes on to state that under the right circumstances, ancient populations were able to obtain different states of consciousness without the use of drugs or other chemical substances. During testing, a deep male voice tuned to these frequencies stimulated a resonance phenomenon throughout the Hypogeum, creating bone-chilling effects. It was reported that sounds echoed for up to 8 seconds. Archaeologist Fernando Coimbra said that he felt the sound crossing his body at high speed, leaving a sensation of relaxation. When it was repeated, the sensation returned, and he also had the illusion that the sound was reflected from his body to the ancient red ochre paintings on the walls. One can only imagine what an experience like that must have felt like 5,000 years ago, there in those chambers, lights flickering over the bones of the dead, with ritual chanting all around you. Linda Enix, who was the project organizer, stated that the same people who created Hal Saflieni also engineered a complete solar calendar with solstice and equinox sunrise alignments that still function today in one of their above-ground megalithic structures. There is no question, she said, that a sophisticated school of architectural, astronomic, and audiologic knowledge was already in place 1,000 years before the Egyptians started building pyramids. Considering the fact that this is the only known prehistoric subterranean temple in the world, it's a wonder it hasn't garnered more attention. The Hypogeum still holds many secrets, and while we may never know with certainty what truly went on within its chambers 5,000 years ago, scientists are making great progress unraveling some of the mystery of this remarkable ancient site. As always, thanks for watching. Please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.